Hey everybody, Phil here, not at Woods Tree Farm today. It is too wet. The weather here in Central Virginia is just miserable and cold and wet and not going to be able to do anything out at the farm this weekend. So today I'm in the garage and we're going to build 2 park benches for under $100. And we'll use these benches as seating next to our fire pit. And if you haven't seen our fire pit, I'll post a video above here for when we build that. We have a massive 6.5 foot by 6.5 foot square concrete fire pit at the farm, and if you want to see how we built that, check out the other video. And anyway, we'll see how it goes. Found these plans online. I'll put a link in the description where I found these plans. It's a pretty straightforward bench plan. I made a couple modifications where I don't plan on doing some of the pocket holes that they're doing, but other than that, pretty much the same thing that you'll see in the plans. All the dimensions are the same. The hardware list and the, or rather the lumber and the cut list is the same. Everything's the same, just not using pocket holes. So we'll have a few more exposed screw heads than their plans have, but I don't really care. While I have a pocket hole jig, I just don't feel like doing pocket holes. I don't think we need it. And after I get all the cuts done, I'll see if I can convince the family to come out and help me put these things together. Here we go. Alright, these first steps here are just cutting the cross pieces. That'll be the seat and the back of the benches. These are 8-foot boards, just cut roughly in half down to 48 inches. So that'll make 4-foot benches for us. Next we do the angle cuts for all of the cross pieces and the legs. So the saw is set at 15 degrees. Every single one of the angle cuts are at 15 degrees, so that makes this pretty easy. So here I'm just measuring everything up, making the cuts according to the plan, and stacking everything on the floor as I go. I did make a couple measuring mistakes along the way. Fortunately, the plan has room for error because each bench takes about 7.5 8-foot boards. So you got about half of a board left to make a couple mistakes. Pretty forgiving plan here, and I'm thankful for that. Alright, so all the cutting is done. I've got all my materials laid out on the floor. So I've got all of the bench and back pieces laid out there. They're 48 inches long. I've got my lower leg supports here. There's 4 of those, 2 for each bench. The upper leg supports, the back supports, and then these are my legs. There's 8 of those. And I've got 2 cross pieces down here that will be on the underside of the bench. Those cross pieces are going to get pocket holes. They're the only pocket holes that I'm going to drill. Alright, come here. Ready? Yeah. Pull the trigger all the way. Pull it out just a little. Pull it back in. It's got to go all the way down to this part that's there. Next one. Pull the trigger harder. Oh, okay. Let's go back in and gently slide it all the way down. Okay. Alright, that'll work. Here we go. 4 more holes.
4 more?
Yep.
Let me get 1 on each side.
1 for each bench. We're doing 2 benches.
Oh.
Ready, go. Next we begin assembly of the legs of the benches. And this part is pretty straightforward. You just take the angle cuts and line up the top and sides of the board, screw it together, and then you put a little 2x4 spacer in between the top leg support and the bottom leg support, and that gives you the appropriate spacing. And when you do that, the sides of your longer support should line up with the sides of your legs. Probably better if you stand over there. Alright, so this is going to line up with the corner, and then this is going to line up with the bottom. So as soon as I'll get one screw in here, and then we'll be able to pivot that. And we've got it close, but. They need to be pretty well sanded. Alright, so that's one, and then basically this one needs to go so that it matches. So that means when we do it this way, it's going to go this way. This way. To this corner.
That's right.
To that corner. But you can pull that lower one out. That's, I'm going to put it on top. Visualize it. No, it's treated, so the green is copper. All right, so with Stacy's help, we have the leg supports and back supports built for both benches, and now we're going to install the bottom cross piece. And with that in place, these will be able to stand on their own, and then we can install the cross pieces for the bench in the back, and the bench will be done. Pretty easy. All right, so we've got these pieces with the pocket holes. They go in here. Let them go flat against that piece. Okay. Yeah. So we got to figure out kind of the best way to do this. Might actually be to lay the leg down, and then we'll drill from screw it from above. Yeah, that'll And then put those. Eight holes.
Do you want to put anything against it to keep it, like, other than my foot, to keep it from, or you're going to drill that way?
No, I got these pocket holes in the back.
Oh.
So,
So I can put my foot here.
yeah.
Is that how you want it? Alright, I got it. Go. But make sure it's flush on this side.
Thank you.
Oh. Is it supposed to flush that much?
Perfect. Alright, so then when we stand this up, this should go in. Should be somewhat easy to kind of line up.
Okay. But
And,
it's...
yeah, hold this one, and I'll hold this.
Okay.
I had it like flush on the bottom.
That's right, when the screw goes in, we'll pull it. Well, you can see how the benches are starting to come together. Really was a pretty straightforward build. Stick around for the end. I've got some funny outtakes of the kids. While they did help a little bit, they were mostly just being silly in the garage. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit that like button. I appreciate that. And share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel. If you like building things, I've got plans for several other builds coming up in the next few weeks. I've got to put sides on a hay wagon, and I've got to build a bridge or two. I've got to build an outdoor table, and I don't know what else we'll think up of, but I know there's several things on the agenda. So thanks again for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you. If you got questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks. Is it a little bit loud? Yeah. Caroline.